Mr. Simon, you described The Empire Strikes Back, the second in this trilogy, as malodorous offal, and I understand you're also well able to keep your enthusiasm in check for the third in the trilogy. Why so unkind?
Well, I think the raves for the early Star Wars have been so violent and so extravagant that I feel one cannot afford to mince one's words if one dislikes these things.
You certainly did not do that, but why do you feel they are so bad?
I feel they're so bad because they're completely dehumanizing. Obviously, let's face it, they are for children or for childish adults. They're not for adult mentalities. They are for children, and they're brutalizing children. They're stultifying children. They're making children dumber than they need to be. A great work for children, like Huck Finn, for example, tells a child something about reality, about people, about life, about growing up. These films try to keep children stupid children forever, and that, I think, is wrong.
I spend a lot of my Saturday matinees watching science fiction movies and serials and having a great time of being stimulated and having my imagination stimulated and having all sorts of visions take place in my mind that help me to become an adult and to still stay young at heart. And I would say not that I'm childlike, but that he is old at heart.
Yeah, I think that Mr. Simon ought to do what I did over the weekend. I went to a regular movie theater in a shopping center in Michigan City, Indiana, and I sat amid all the kids. There was one tall head and a lot of small heads.
Were they dumber than they needed to be?
No, they weren't dumber, to quote that interesting phrase. They were ecstatic. They were enjoying it, and they were rooting. They were asking each other who's who. They were getting all involved. They were rooting for the right guys and booing the bad guys. I thought it was a lot of fun. I feel badly, honestly, I feel badly that this other critic, John Simon, didn't have a good time at these pictures. That's too bad for him.
Is it a great film? I mean, it's clearly great technology, and it does wonderful things with special effects, but in terms of the normal standards by which we judge movies, is this a great film? John Simon, clearly you say no, but why?
Well, first of all, you know, special effects are like the tail of the dog, which should not wag the whole animal. When you have a film that's 90% special, and that's a kindly estimate, 90% special effects, you might just as well be watching a animated cartoon, because finally all those special effects begin to look totally unreal. You're looking for something that looks like flesh and blood there. You have three lousy actors in the main roles who don't contribute much flesh and blood. You have ghastly dialogue, terrible plotting, miserable characterization, which also do not contribute flesh and blood. So what you're left with is something that Walt Disney could have done just as well with a drawing board and pencils and colors.
All right, Roger Ebert, beyond the undeniable fact that it's clearly perceived as entertainment by a great many people, how would you argue that it's a great movie?
These are the sorts of movies that Disney people should be making and the kinds of movies that Disney made 20, 30 years ago. I think all movies are special effects. Movies are not real, they're two-dimensional. A film goes through the camera, the projector throws the light on the screen, and that makes a special effect. It's a dream, it's an imagination. As to whether this film is good or not, it excited me, it made me laugh, it made me thrilled, and that's what a movie like this is for. I think in my own movie-going taste to be broad enough to also understand why a bunch of people might want to get together and see a Star Wars movie and enjoy it.
Gene Siskel, is it not possible to separate these two and to say, yes, there's such a thing as great entertainment, but it's not a great movie, let's not pretend it is?
Well, you can say what its aspirations are. I don't think that a film should be rewarded for aiming low and hitting that mark, which sometimes in film criticism you do get that. The sort of junk movie as campy fun. I don't think this is campy fun. I think this is well-made fun.
In this thing, you see one set of robots, some of them ostensibly flesh and blood, but actually just as mechanical as the real robots, attacking another set of robots. It zaps you, it races past you, projectiles are hurtling this way and that. There's nothing to get involved with. Sure, there is a very primitive sense in which the Empire is bad and a very primitive sense in which the others are good. But it is all such a chaos, such a jumble, such a confusion, such a mechanical, technological, whirly-gig that you don't have any chance to associate yourself with anyone, to identify yourself with anyone. There are no people there with whom you can sympathize.
That just isn't my experience in seeing it, again, with a whole bunch of kids. They were able to sort out who was who very easily. They had no trouble with this picture, understanding what was going on. I got to ask Mr. Simon a question. Here's sort of a test question. Wasn't your heart warmed even a little bit by Yoda?
Well, yes, I mean a little. But let's say if I saw him in a window of F.A.O. Schwartz and I looked at him for 3 seconds and said that's a kind of cute little figurine, I would have had enough of Yoda.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.
Impressive. Most impressive.